Hello, everyone. Hello, members of this unapologetic family. And for all of our Chinese viewer friends out there, Kung Hei Fat Choi, it's Happy Chinese New Year. As you can see in my background, I'm enjoying the year of the ox today. So today we're going to have another interesting 30-minute conversation with an amazing guest. And we're going to be talking about productivity amidst the pandemic. So who is our special guest today? Our special guest is a road warrior. She's a fantastic road warrior for workplace engagement. Her passion is to help organizations discover and define their culture to attract, inspire, and nurture and engage their own respective workforces. Now, if you guys are a fan of the Big Fat Greek Wedding, you will love how she will take you on this roller coaster of inspiring skills to power up your workforce. Now, Kelli, our guest for today, passionately helps you increase engagement and diminish distractions while keeping an eye on customer satisfaction and the bottom line. Now, our guest has over 30 years of experience in the corporate world. So I was a teenager when she started this journey. Half of that was as a broadcast executive and a morning talk show host on one of the nation's first all-women, all-talk radio stations. Since her radio days at ABC, Kelli has successfully consulted companies like Capital One, Mercedes-Benz, Burger King, H&R Block, and Southwest Airlines, to name a few. So Kelli can often be found giving seminars to unsuspecting passengers on one of her many delayed flights to an engagement keynote or a workshop. And I'm sure she misses traveling just as much as I do. And, you know, when you're in your flight, don't be surprised if you encounter her there. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce our guest for today, Miss Kelli Vrla. Hi,
Woo-hoo!
Kelli.
Hi. Oh my gosh.
Wow, look
It's
at that
huge.
crowd. Look at
Hi,
the crowd
Francis.
welcoming you. That
It's
is how.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Francis, if you want to wow anyone, any woman especially, don't say you were a teenager when they were working.
Very good. So that is a good piece of advice to kickstart our interview for today. I
Hey,
love how you're wearing red right now because you're in keeping with the theme of Chinese New Year.
I love that, and I look like I'm running in traffic right now, so that's kind of just keeping ahead of the game. So happy Chinese New Year to everyone. That's all.
Thank you very much. And for all of you who are watching right now, please join the Unapologetics group on Facebook. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Francis Mir and LinkedIn at Francis Miranda. And throughout the interview, feel free to ask us questions. We would love to answer your questions. So just type in your questions in the chat box. We're going to be able to see those questions and we'll try our best to answer them. Okay, so Kelli, you know, we're going to be talking about the pandemic. We're going to be talking about productivity. And, you know, one thing I observed is that, you know, our productivity obsessed society really had a rude awakening due to the COVID-19 pandemic, right? You know, we're so used to multitasking. We're so used to, you know, always being busy, always being productive, always working, right? And suddenly we were stuck working at home. Like for me personally, just like you, I was traveling all the time, every day. Every day I was in some new airport. Every week I was flying to some new cities, and I had a rude awakening. All of that taken away overnight. I was stuck at home. So my question is, for people who were shocked by this major shift, right, of working at home, sometimes it's very difficult to motivate yourself to be productive. So the first question I wanted to ask you is, what are some hacks that you can give to people who are struggling to be productive at home right now?
Right. Yeah. Great question, Francis. And you know, myself, I remember my last flight, March the 13th. I was coming back from San Francisco to the lovely DFW airport. And do you know what day of the week that was?
What day was it?
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
So, and I should say, that's a tough day. But and I have to say it was so eerie and strange because we were all just hearing about the COVID. We were just hearing about the pandemic, and nobody really knew a lot. But after that day, flights started to be grounded. Things started to change, and you know how this works with people who are in the pandemic situation. There is a change model that everyone has gone through and continues to go through, and that's going to affect your productivity. Okay.
Yes.
Example, and I must back up before I give you the hot tips. You need to know where you are in your head before you can physically move stuff forward. So may I indulge in that area?
Sure, sure.
Real quickly, here's what I want you to do. If you guys have a piece of paper, draw a line and a line across. You've got 4 squares. On the top left-hand square, write the word deny. The square directly underneath that, write the word resist. And then you're coming across to the lower right-hand corner, write the word Google or explore. And then the top right-hand corner, write the word accept and master. So let me do that. Let me give a quick recap. The top left-hand square is called deny, which is the first place that most of us end up when a change occurs. The bottom left-hand square is called resist. We may believe it, but we're still resisting. And let me put some words into it. Number 1, we deny. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this pandemic stuff. I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe my company is thinking of me working at home. I can't believe I'm going to be stuck here at home with these crazy lockdown lovables. This is all the big deny phase. And once we get into that deny phase, let me tell you something. If you can't get out of the deny phase, you have lots of real estate up here and it's a mess. It's just a mess. And can you imagine, how are you going to get something done if your brain keeps fighting you and saying this hasn't really happened? So the only way to get from that square of deny is into the square of resist, which means you believe it's happened, but you still have a few moments where you're looking back going, wasn't it great when I could fly? Wasn't it really cool when I got to hang out with my buds at work and we could talk over coffee on the way to another meeting? What is this Zoom thing? And people are starting to Zoom. What's up with that? So we get out of deny, but the only way we get out of deny is to get into resist, which means we are still a little bit apprehensive about our situation. Now, I want you to understand something. Your brain will not go full throttle until you finally move over to that third square, which is called Google. Now, I just call it that because it means find out more. The only way we are all going to find out more is we're going to try stuff. And finding out more means I need to start tapping into people who've decided to focus forward to fix and figure this animal out. I am not going to move forward if I keep hanging out with people who are stuck in that resist and that deny area. In other words, it's going to drag me down. And so I can't move forward. Now, please understand, I'm not saying you can't vent. I'm not saying that it's not going to be healthy for you to have a 60-second scream into a pillow or have a buddy that you can talk to. But what
I've done the screaming thing.
Well, you know what this is about. So what I'm saying is you got to get to square 3 so you can at least start to observe, go online, watch a program like this that says, how do you cope? And you may know 80% of the stuff that you uncovered, but guess what? You have to ask yourself, am I knowing it or am I doing it? That's one. And the other goal is, let's find that 20% that's new to me that I can latch onto and go, whoa, that works for me. That helps me get through this. And then finally, you get to square 4. But it's like Carnegie Hall, Francis. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. So that's the mental part. All right. Now, so, I'm ready to tell you more, but I want to make sure that
I love what you mentioned about the denial part, because, I do a lot of change management seminars right now. And the one thing that I do discover is that it's surprising that it's already 2021. The pandemic has already run a full year, but so many companies are still stuck in the denial phase where they're wondering, okay, I can't believe our business has already changed. And I kept telling that I always tell them that, it's changed a year. So now is the time for us to really accept that. And if companies are having difficulty embracing this concept, I can imagine how many people are still stuck precisely on the denial phase, where they can't seem to imagine that life has irrevocably changed for good. I tell my marketing students that your consumers have irrevocably changed. If you're still behaving like they're the same consumers as before, you're missing out on an opportunity.
Which is true. Now, and let's think about some of the businesses that literally changed their business model overnight to react. This is what I call pivot power. And
Yes.
this has been really smart. But here, you have to understand this. We can look at it on a giant organizational level, or we can really narrow it down and say, let's talk about me. How have
Mhm.
I changed what I do to accept that this is going on?
Mhm.
And if you are, let's face it, my friends, if you're fighting a change, you're not going to be rolling with it and riding on top of the wave. It's like that book, Good to Great. You're either on the bus or under the bus. And the change won't stop. The wave won't stop. So I'm ready to give you some hacks, as you call them, but I want to give you some things that are going to help you focus and move forward. I like to say it this way, Francis. We want to focus forward to fix, not back on blame. We want to move transactions forward. Now, if I had my airport cones, my little
Mhm.
orange cones, I'd be waving them right now. And let me give you, first of all, let me give you 3 quick ways to know whether you're moving forward or not through this change.
Uh-huh.
You ready?
Go.
If you can, number one, if an issue comes up that's maybe not what you expected, you can fix it. If you can fix it, means you have the wherewithal, you have the knowledge, maybe the experience, maybe the resources, maybe you have a contact or someone you've confided in and they agree
Mhm.
with you. You can fix it. You can move forward on anything that comes your way, even if you didn't expect it. The second thing you can do is you can refer it, which means you
Mhm.
will confide in someone. You will Google it. You'll, as we say, don't put it on the back burner. Put it somewhere where you know you've put a question out to the universe to get an answer back. You've watched a YouTube video to figure out how to do something, but you've referred it for
Mhm.
further knowledge. And the third way you know you're moving something forward is you actually at least agree on a next step for this item. If you agree on a next step, it means you have a plan to move it forward. If you can fix it, refer it, or
Mhm.
agree on a next step, you are actually engaged in moving something forward. Please remember, whining is not one of the 3 steps. You know what the definition of whining is, don't you? It's complaining through a very small opening, right? So complaining about it's not going to change the fact that it's happening. I mean, it's almost like the weather. If you
Mhm.
know it's raining and you don't like rain, it's not going to change the rain. It will, if you change your attitude about the rain, you could deal with it and go, instead of being mad about it, I could get an umbrella or a newspaper
Yeah.
or a hat or a hair product or something, right? So those are 3 things I would say mentally. Now, well, everything we've talked about up to this point is up here. And this is one of the most important battlegrounds of your mind before you can ever get to do the stuff. Now I have some physical suggestions. Would you like to know those?
Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
All right. I'm so glad you asked. But let me give you an example. Number 1, set work hours no matter what.
Mm.
Have a routine. I know you do this. And if you start at the same time every day, work the same amount of hours, have a routine. Do you do this, Francis?
Oh yes, I do. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you have a wake up routine? I'm curious.
Sorry, what did you say?
Do you have a wake up routine?
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
when you get
definitely.
out to use
So
coffee?
I have because I have my normal morning routine, which is make yourself a cup of coffee, have
Mhm.
breakfast, engage in 20 minutes of meditation,
Good.
and then take a shower and then start to work. Even
Love it.
when I'm working from the house, I make it an effort to dress up because
Love it.
I can't work on my pajamas. I can't work on my sleeping outfits. I gotta dress up as if I'm showing up for work.
This is
And
great.
and what I did was I have 2 bedrooms in my apartment. I converted the other bedroom to an exclusive office. That way I have a clean space between my relaxation area
Good.
and my work area because I didn't want the worlds to collide. I wanted them to be separate.
That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And I will tell you that if you don't have a routine, then let this be a goal for you. Let try
Mhm.
and try it on for size. There are many routines out there. In fact, I'm actually launching a podcast, and Mondays will be Mindfulness Mondays. And on
Mindfulness.
Monday, we'll do nothing but tell you a bunch of different ways that you could find a routine that works for you. There are, of course, apps that you can have on your phone or your
Mhm.
iPad. For now, one of my favorite gurus that I'm really following right now is a guy named Robin Sharma, Sharma. Wrote the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. He also has another very popular book called The 5 a.m. Club. Now, I'm more of a 6:30 or 7 a.m. club person. I mean, I love roosters, but if they would just wake up around 10:30, we'd really be good friends. But the 5 a.m. club, it talks about, and whatever time that appears to you to make sense, but it's the power hour. It's an hour that you're uninterrupted. So even if you have little kids, it's the hour before you would ever go in to wake them up. If you have loved ones, it's your hour. So you kind of steal away. And for the first 20 minutes, it's like what you had mentioned. First of all, he does physical activity. So for 20 minutes, he does something. And it can be small to large. If you have workout equipment at home, or if you, all these videos are great. You know, I've got a total gym in my house. I've also got a bike that I put up on blocks so that I can, it's no Peloton, but it's a Peloton, right? You know, but I can pedal and watch like really cool virtual bike races and pretend, you know, that I'm winning or something. But anyway, 20 minutes of vigorous physical activity or some kind, which could even be walking. The second thing you do after you've woken up your mind and your body is you do that mind read, or some way to put things in your mind. It could be, for many people, meditation. It could be prayer. It could be listening to some amazing instrumental music or affirmations. But you're now getting yourself, the body's in the mode, the mind's in the mode, and now we're going to get our heart into what's really important for me today for the next 20 minutes. Now, I kind of double them up. While I'm working out, I'm listening to highly uplifting and motivating either speeches, music, or meditations. And then I roll into focus for the day. So that's one thing you can do, is set a schedule. Now, for those people who have Alexa or I got Google.
I got Alexa.
Okay. You have routines with Alexa?
Oh, yeah, I love it. I geek out of creating those routines. Like today, this morning, Alexa reminded me, water your succulents. So every 3 weeks, reminds me to water my succulents.
Francis, I have to go look up I'd have to go, what is a succulent, before I could go mind my succulent. Anyway, that's a good one. Okay, so I set mine up in the morning. Mine says, it's like 6:30, and she'll say, "Good morning, Kelli V, the greatest speaker ever," which we all know it's positive affirmation. It doesn't have to be true, but when she says it, it sounds so good with that British accent. And then she tells me my calendar for the day. She used to say your commute to the airport is 30 minutes, but we don't go to the airport anymore. And then around 10 o'clock, she says, "Hey, it's 10 o'clock, time for you to stand up and stretch." And then she says, "How's that sorting going?" Because when I like to connect with people to see what kinds of skill building and learning and development they need. So I'm calling people a lot, and I'm emailing people, and I'm sorting through people who need what I do and people who need other things. And so she says, "How's that sorting going?" She said, "You know, there's a lot of people that need to hear the message of engagement." This is all, I programmed this in. That's at 10. Noon, she says, "Hey, time for lunch. You better wash your hands." And then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she says, "Hey, it's 2 o'clock. You want to go for a walk?"
No, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because I do the same thing. I program it to give me all sorts of weird and funny affirmations. Like when I leave the house and I say, "Alexa, goodbye," you know what she says to me? She says, "Take care, because I care."
Oh, Francis, you and I think she should say to me, "Hey, it's 8 a.m. Have you checked with Francis' succulents today?" Well, my favorite one is when she goes, "Hey, it's 4:45. Don't you think you should be cleaning up and getting ready to go home from work?" And I'm like, 4:45? What kind of job do you have that you can leave at 4:45? Anyway,
No,
I love that.
I do want to jump on what you said about the morning routine, because when I was still working in advertising many years ago, you know, advertising is a very brutal industry. You wind up working late into the night.
Remember radio advertising?
Yeah.
I called on your agencies.
Yeah, so you like work all the way to the evening, right? But I have a different way. I don't like working beyond 5 p.m. Yeah. So what I do is I actually show up to work at 7:30 a.m. So I'm weird that way. I show up, I do what's known as reverse overtime, where I do my overtime in the morning, because I love it at 7:30 a.m. because the entire office is quiet. No one is bugging you. No one is knocking at your door. There are no emails to check. That's when I have my coffee. I settle down and do the most important mental work I need to do for that particular day. And when people start coming in, that's when I do collaborative work.
Mhm.
So that's how it's worked for me. But of
I
course,
think
the
that's
big
great.
adjustment, the big
No,
adjustment,
you're right. You know, Francis, I'm sorry, but this woman in my class one day, she said, "Oh, I was having so much fun and I got so much done because I came early." And she goes, "But then all the other people showed up," and I was like, "Oh man, and that's like, it's so
oh,
sad."
I
But
love your sound effects. I think I'll do that. I'll get that sound effect machine.
oh
I'm
yeah,
adding
this is a soundboard, and you can have a game show where people get the right answer or get the wrong answer or bonus. And then if you just feel like you need a little uplift, why not?
I love it.
Why not? Why not? Why not? Oh, so I mean that's and there, you know, there's free versions, but all right, so let's get some meat. Let's give some meat
Yes.
advice because I love for people to walk away from this and go, wow, this is awesome. And don't forget, you can get recaps on my Kiwi Live. That's kiwilive.com. If you just hit the VIP word OPA, which is Greek for let's celebrate to your life, your abundance, your health, and your happiness. And if you do that, I have all these wonderful downloads, which will include a recap from today. But we want set work hours, get a routine, do the same thing. I encourage all of you to play with your Alexa or your Google Home and get it to tell you things, because what it does is it shocks you out of your rut.
Yes.
And it reminds you to stay focused on stuff that's really important to you, right? Another thing is to set clear boundaries. Boundaries not only for you, but for your locked-in lovables if they're with you, in perhaps roommates, even if they're in the same home, or even friends that know you're working at home that have a tendency to text you, call you, all those things. You have a do not disturb on this funny little phone here. You could always set that up. If you hear the ping and you go immediately to the ping like a Pavlovian dog, you're letting your devices run you. All right. So set boundaries with your loved one. And I mean, I have things like if I'm in a recording session, then I'll hang this out. I also have a lot of
like a
fun
studio.
I've got signage. I love that. I have signage. I have one of those little signs like they have at the gift shop at the hotel where it says open. And then when I'm busy, I turn it around and it says will return at, and I put like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. I also have signage that says no parking, because if you have chairs around the office where you're working, if you put that sign in your chair, I have another sign that says keep out. But my favorite sign that I put up, it says, if you have nothing to do, don't do it here. Okay, that's one of my favorite.
No, I mean, you inspired me. I actually want to install a red light bulb in front of my office door.
Right.
That looks like the red light bulb that you have in an X-ray machine where it says danger, radiation inside. Stay out.
Right. Exciting waves are coming. So set those clear boundaries. And then I years ago, I know we were trying to tell people, even in a cube, if you live and work in a cube farm, like many of us have, you can do that little signage there. But I had some people use the code where they had their name tint or name tag and they turned it upside down, which meant I know I'm here and you can see me, but I'm in the middle of a crunch deadline. And so I even bought caution tape. And I said, if you can see me, but you see the caution tape, it means I'm in a 911 crunch. And if your crunch is bigger than my crunch, let's at least compare. But please understand, I'd love to help you, but let's put out that biggest fire first. And so there will be things at home. And I think this is really important. Tell your loved ones and your friends and or your roommates, wherever you're living, tell them about things that are absolutely interruptibles. Okay. Tell them what the 911 looks like. So they don't wonder. You can say, hey, if this, or this happens, you need to come in, stop, drop, and roll. But if it's this one, which is a little bit lower priority, if it's a 611 and it can wait, then please leave me a voicemail or a text and know that I will check it and get right back with you. If it's a 311, it's an FYI. It means you've handled it based on options we've already talked about. And it's something that I can look at even after work. All right. But just get those signals out to people so that they're not hanging about by the door worried and wondering if they should interrupt you or not. That would be a real helpful thing for them on both sides.
For me, one of the biggest hacks I had during this pandemic was turn off all the notifications of your phone when you're working. I put it on do not disturb, and it has changed my life.
For people who don't know, there's a do not disturb button on there right there. Can you see it? I think you can. Yeah, it's over on your whatever. But if you hit that, it doesn't mean they'll stop calling. It just means you won't hear it.
You won't hear it.
Yeah. So let me give you a couple of upper hits here because I know we're getting close on time and I want to make sure that they go, wow, that was full of great tips. Have a designated workspace. Please don't work in, the corner of the bed in the morning and then the corner of an office and the kitchen table. And just have one specific, as you mentioned, Francis, a dedicated space that will help you. Here's another one. Avoid blurring the work life and home life. In other words, try to resist getting up at 8 o'clock at night after you've closed your shop to do something unless it's really urgent. If you continue, I always like to say this to people, be there when you're there. Be totally at work when you're at work. Be totally at home when you're home. Try it. I know there will be some exceptions. Here's another one. Some people like to use music to stay focused. I have, and it depends on what it is. It's really funny. Some people like music with lots of crazy lyrics, really loud headbanger music, and for some reason they can focus through the noise. Other people like really nice. I like Buddha bar lounge music. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's a great. Let me give you one other. But one other really cool focus that I do, and it's really low tech, but it works for me. I don't know if you can see this because I'm green screen, but it says, I think I'll put this on my phone. Maybe you can see it. You can't see it. It says hot 3. That's all. It's a Post-it note that says hot 3. And all I do on this Post-it note is I write the top 3 items on my to-do list. And I put that right there in front of me on my computer. And I make a goal to say in the next hour, I've got to hit these hot 3 items. And I hit those. And then once I hit them, guess what? Time to go back and look at all the wonderful things that have happened since you've been working on these and pick another hot 3 that will keep you focused. Those are just some ideas. I'm going to make sure and include lots more in the downloads if you choose to go to the Kiwi Live.
No, I love the music idea. And in fact, I have a confession to make. You want to know what music I listen to when I'm working?
Yes, what?
So I listen to soundtracks from action movies like James Bond and Mission Impossible, because at that moment, I feel like I'm defusing a bomb or I'm trying to hack my way into a supercomputer. And it really focuses my attention when I hear that. Dun, 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 dun.
Like that? And I like this one. Right? What? The 70s called. Your James Bond movie's missing.
So these are really amazing chock full tips, and I wish we had more time. It's a very short conversation, but I'm sure a lot of people took away powerful stuff. So my final question for today is, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? How can they discover the content that you have?
Francis, this is fun. We'll have to do this again, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Best way to get in touch with me is go to Kiwi Live, which is like the fruit, KIWI Live, no spacing, kiwilive.com, and use the VIP word OPA, OPA, can be upper or lowercase, doesn't matter. And it will open up to you all of my social media, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my internet, all of those things, email, all of those things. And I would love to hear from you on what questions do you have, how you can keep more engagement into your organization. Remember, if you cannot look around your office and say, this is an amazing place to work, then I want to give you some tools to look at and how you can improve and nurture that amazing culture, because you reflect that to the people that you serve on the outside, how you act on the inside. So if you want to tap in, tune in, and turn on, I can be a great resource for you. And I just appreciate so much, Francis. You have this as a really great way for people to be exposed to different things that can be extremely helpful to help them, as we say, move transactions forward and
Mhm.
stay productive, as we say, even during a pandemic.
So thank you very much, Kelly. And as you love to say, Opa, thank you very much for joining us today. And on behalf of the Unapologetic crew, we want to give you our thanks. We want to say Opa, and to all our Chinese friends out there, Happy Lunar New Year to you. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.